Welcome. Today's Wholesale Daily is Fix and Flip Friday. We're going to talk about today how you can optimize your floor plans, layouts, and renovations to maximize the profit if you're choosing to do a fix and flip. My name is Dustin.
Amen. I'm Josh.
And I'm Corey.
And I'm going to play guitar throughout the whole podcast.
Justin didn't get the black shirt memo that we sent
I didn't
out
get the
this
black
morning.
shirt memo.
Nope.
Didn't get it. I'm giving the guitar an injustice when Corey should have it. But you know what?
No, it's okay. I don't need it.
We're going to pass it to him soon. Anyways,
Yeah.
Fix and Flip Friday. People are tuning in all over the world for the show. Thank you for the love and support we've been getting lately. Things have been going really well. We're excited to bring to you today some tips. Corey's going to animate here. You might not know this about Corey, but he was Disney's top animator for 10 years running.
Yeah.
For the podcast, folks, you won't be able to see Corey's beautiful animations.
But you should check us out on YouTube.
But you should check us out on YouTube. The YouTube.
The
Don't
YouTube.
mix us up with any of those other tubes that are out there. We
No.
could upload to those, actually. But it would have to be a different format.
Yeah, it's true.
Instead of fix and flip, we would change the
And-
first word to something else.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, you
I'm
got
there.
it. Gotcha.
Bringing her back, though.
All right, so we're going to talk about layouts today. We're going to talk about how to optimize the layout of your project so that you can maximize the profits on it. And as you're doing your wholesaling, you're probably going to have properties that are going to come up along the way that you can make a lot more money on if you fix and then you flip. Mm-hmm. And we talked before about contractors, and I'm sure a lot of people will even be doing the old sweat equity, which is you're doing the work yourself rather than hiring contractors. And that's cool to kind of get your feet off the ground and get an idea so that people don't screw you over down the road. But we've never actually rehabbed our own. We've never got in there with a hammer.
Yeah.
I have fixed stuff before.
That's
Back in a previous life, I was in construction.
Corey has done hardwood floors. So the layout is very important. Josh, why don't you switch spots here? You're the layout master.
Sure, man.
Switching.
Master.
Oh, you're both going the same way. They're both. Look at this. Dustin's gonna sing us a song about layouts. Oh yes, he is. Layouts are the best things in the world. Okay,
Sorry.
that's okay. Oh, I like the fold. That was a very newscaster thing.
Right?
So, Josh, layouts. Let's talk about how a layout can make the difference between profit and loss. And if you're listening to this and you're thinking about doing a fix and a flip, the layout of a house sometimes you can get into can be a funky pickle.
Okay, pickle.
And you want to make that pickle not funky. So Josh, can you profile perhaps some examples that we've went through where we've changed the layout to optimize, but then maybe we've lost money because of a layout so that the millions of people listening don't make the same mistake?
Definitely. The last thing you ever want would be a funky pickle. So let's talk about a couple things. Before you even decide, before you even go about a grand plan, I think, before you even go about maximizing, the layout or figuring out the best way to do it, you've got to make sure that the neighborhood / market, wherever you're going to be buying this house and fixing and flipping it, that it supports it. And the last thing you want is a house that you're trying to charge $500,000 for in the middle of the ghetto where nobody wants to live there, and it just ends up sitting there. And so that's the most important thing first, is to kind of look at the neighborhood and does this make sense? Is this comparable? Is this a desired area? Do people want to live there, and can you justify doing all this work? And so in our line of work with motivated sellers, the bulk of the houses that we end up with are from anywhere from the 1900, even as early as 1890.
Did we have an 1890?
I think we had one 1890 once.
That's a
super old. Up to really, we're not really looking at a whole lot in the after the year 2000. I gotta mute these. Who's this person?
No one ever texts me, and now I'm getting.
Yeah,
those
Corey's
texts.
just got text messages popping up there.
Yeah.
So you're dealing at houses. A lot of times it seems like 1950s is a sweet spot because they're motivated sellers. They might have held onto the property for a long time, and the bulk of these houses, it seemed like all the rage back then is let's see how many rooms we can have. We want a living room, a dining room, a family room, a whole bunch of small rooms. It's really secluded and small, and that's not what's sexy anymore. That's not what sells. And so you got a ton of walls, and you gotta look where can you knock down those walls. I mean, really, that's gonna give you that wide open feel. That's gonna give you like a sexy space. People want that, and people are gonna pay more for that. Those kind of houses are gonna sell more, and a lot of times it may not be a lot more work. You just gotta make sure that you're not knocking something down that compromises the structural integrity of the house. But I mean, that's going to be one of the first things. But as far as squeezing out the most profit, I mean, I can think of a house that we were able to increase the value of the house quite significantly by simply finishing the basement. You know, it was half finished, and we got a couple quotes to finish the basement. And you're able to then get that square footage back into the equation, increase the value. A lot of times too, adding a bathroom, because if you have a 4-in-1, automatically you're really going to limit your options, because a 4-in-1, most likely if you're getting a 4-bedroom, you're a family or something like that, and 4 people sharing one bathroom is going to be pretty challenging. Everyone's going to go there for the shower, and I mean, think about guests, right? So if you're a family and you're having guests over, if you're anybody having guests over, and if the one bathroom is upstairs, you know, they got to go upstairs. You're like having dinner, and everyone's got to go upstairs to go to the bathroom. It's just not convenient, and people don't want to do that. I mean, they're going to look then for a 4.2 or 4.1.5 because that's going to be better, more desirable, unless you got something else that you have to offer.
What does that mean, Josh, when you say 4.2, 4.1.5?
4.2, 4.1.
Yeah, just 4 baths. Sorry, 4 bedrooms. Bedrooms comes
Sure.
first, and then bath. So 3, 2.5. Will be 3 bedrooms and 2.5 baths. The half just being a toilet and a sink.
Is there a quarter bath?
Maybe.
Is that a real thing?
I don't know. I don't think so.
We don't know.
I've
Tune in
never-
next week for the answer.
I've never seen it. But there's a lot of times adding that bathroom, adding that bedroom is going to increase the value. But you've got to look again and say, is the market going to support this? I can think of one house where it was in a neighborhood that was not the best. And so all we did is we did a half-finished basement. And already that was easily the best house in the neighborhood. We weren't going to get any more money out of the property by finishing it. And so it was just half-finished. So like the ceiling was still open and exposed, a couple other things. But you really got to look at the market and determine the best thing to do. But knocking out floors from these houses, because a lot of the times when if you were to get cold call,
Walls.
Yeah.
Walls, not floors.
if you're getting cold call leads from us, they're going to be motivated sellers because you're going to want to buy the property at a discount. And so the bulk of these houses, like I said, will be in the 1950s, and knocking out those walls is going to give you, something sexy. But you don't need to do, LA in some remote part of Arkansas. So match the market too.
What about, because I know we have one property where the kitchen is just such a weird kitchen, and we could have planned it better. Had we planned it better? I think it's Francis, maybe.
Yeah, Francis.
Maybe people could avoid that happening to them.
Mm-hmm.
As Josh dives into how we can avoid this, a perfect little opportunity to interject for the people just joining us.
Oh yeah.
Welcome to the Wholesale Daily Show, brought to you by Modern REI. And we're here every day bringing you fresh podcast. And we also provide you, the real estate investor, with premium cold called motivated seller leads with our all-in-one cold call sales floor that provides leads to investors all over the country, and they are cheaper than direct mail. Cold calling is a great addition to what you are already doing. So type the word leads in the comments if you're listening, or if you're listening to the podcast, head over to modernrei.com and we can get you more details on how we can hook you up with some premium leads, which is how we get all of our deals. So, little
Amen.
commercial break. Back to it, Josh.
Smooth plug.
Yeah. you got to think about the functionality of your kitchen. You know, the layout, the cabinets. There was one time that there was a house in Cincinnati we were doing, and we didn't have enough space to put a dishwasher in. And what ended up needing to happen is there was a double door coming into the back of the house. So we got rid of one of the doors, turned it into just one door, put then some siding there and a wall, and we were able to then put the dishwasher in. Now, the problem is that we didn't do that on the front end. We finished the kitchen, and it was like, okay, you know what? We thought we could get away without a dishwasher, but it was like a three beds, 3 baths, and it was like, we need a dishwasher in here. We need to expand the kitchen. So the only way to do that was to get rid of the door of the 2 doors, get rid of one door, do the wall. So then we're opening up everything construction. So that should have been thought about on the front end. And then we got that extra space. We're able to add more countertops, cabinets, but do that on the front end. And so we have a guy, and he goes in, and every single kitchen that we do, the layout is done for the cabinets. And so he'll have like a diagram, and then everything is laid out and mapped properly. And think about too, just the functionality of things. And so you got to look at it from your perspective, some of your friends' perspectives. It's like, is this a house that you would want to live in? And if not, why? And if the kitchen sucks, but there's something awesome, different about it. You got to have the kitchen and bathroom be amazing. And so if they're suffering at all, do whatever you can that makes sense to fix that. Because you can have amazing appliances, but if it's just not functional, it's not gonna go over well. And so we got a really beautiful kitchen in this house called Francis, but there's no functionality behind it. It looks cool, but it just doesn't make any sense. And what I mean by that is there's a stove by itself, and it's just awkward and uncomfortable. And so we're trying to justify. It's like, well, hey, maybe it doesn't have functionality, but it's sexy, and you need both for certainly functionality and for it to be sexy. And sexy doesn't necessarily cost a lot of money either. Plenty of ways to get that.
Isn't the stove over here?
Yeah, so it's like the stove is over there, and we should have put in like countertops next to it, but there was nothing there. And so yeah, really thinking about the layout on the front end. This was one of the earlier houses that we got into. Yeah, so thinking about layout, where can you knock down a wall, give it more open space, and there's ways to make the house look bigger too, depending on the flooring and the paint that you use to kind of make it feel bigger. Finishing that basement. Is it best to do it? Is it best not to do it? Does it make sense for the money? Get those quotes. It's always going to be a numbers game. And does it work for the neighborhood? Yeah, those are probably some of the easiest and best ways to change your layout or change the interior structure to get the biggest bang for your buck.
Excellent. Hope these tips are coming in handy, because as you continue on your exciting journey of fixing and flipping and wholesaling, you're going to come up against this stuff. And to be fair, you're probably not going to remember all of it, but you can come back and listen to these podcasts and YouTubes whenever you need to.
YouTubes.
And once again, so much of it just comes down to that daily exposure to this stuff. For the guys that are professional, it's just a nice little refresher. But if you're just getting into this, like, it takes a long time of repeatedly going through the basics on this so that it can become, when you're first starting out, you're consciously incompetent at this. You know that you're not very good, and therefore you need to learn, right? And then you get to that point where you are consciously competent, and that's when you can be like, hey, I'm getting pretty good at this stuff. It's moving well. But ultimately, the reason why you want to keep listening and listening to these podcasts is to get to that spot of unconscious competency, which is where you can make those split decisions, act quick, seize opportunities, and really dial it up to the next level. And that's why, for us, it really helps us even get to that unconscious competency level by just doing this stuff every day, because we're learning from each other as well as we do this, and little lessons that Josh is talking about. Definitely learning a lot, because Josh is the one handling all of the rehabs with the crews. So a lot of the times he's handling some of the departments that I'm not seeing. And vice versa. For example, Corey and I are working a lot in the lead generation side of it. So then Josh gets to learn about how we're doing that. And as we've mentioned before, cold calling is one of our favorite methods of generating leads over the phone. And we ended up getting so good at it that we've generated more leads in our area than we can use. Well, we've called everybody. So the way it works is you call all of the leads, and then your cold callers need more people to contact. So that's why rather than just having our team of cold callers sit idle because they've called everybody in our area, we've opened it up and started producing cold call leads for motivated sellers for our listeners of the podcast and the YouTube and Instagram. So if you're on Instagram or YouTube and you're interested in some quality leads, type the word leads or send us a direct message. If you're listening to the podcast, head over to modernrei.com and we have information there on how we can provide motivated seller leads for you. And depending on the area you're in, we can generate 5 to 10 qualified leads per day, depending on the volume. A really great price. So that's what we're doing here. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. It is the weekend. Make sure to not waste a lot of time on Netflix and just wash away the weekend. We're now into the new year where people's resolutions are dying out and you're getting back into those old habits. So maybe this can be the little nudge you need to create a new habit and implement in your real estate business. So
Yeah, we're actually like bulking up hardcore for February. We're like coming at it stronger than ever. So you don't want to be one of those people that fizzles out after January.
no.
Yeah.
February for us is going to be big. As we mentioned before, we're sharing with you our journey. Our goal is to do $1 million in fix and flips and wholesales. January was rough
January
from
was
the
rough.
December slowdown, but February we might even crack 10 deals in February
Yeah.
for sure because we already have like 7 closing.
Yeah, we've got a ton closing in February, so that number's going to change. We've got a whole bunch of first-home visits coming up. We had a couple so far, just some issues that actually this might be super helpful really quick. One of the issues is just people not understanding how much their house is worth. And for a lot of people, they think they're going to make a lot more money doing this on their own. And so there's just these misunderstandings about how much their property is actually worth. And so we built a sheet that we're going to start utilizing, which I think is going to help kind of show them where they're actually at.
Why don't we share that on Monday?
I think that's going to be good. That's a good Monday one.
Topic. We got a cooking Monday coming up for you.
Yeah.
It's going to be exciting.
February is big. It's
All right,
also
everybody.
Valentine's Day.
Have a great... Oh, I thought it was Valentine's Day this weekend. I was like, oh no.
No, it's in February.
Okay, I gotta make a reminder actually to not screw that up. Speaking of Valentine's Day, I'll never forget one time Corey and I had concert tickets to old Brad Paisley.
Oh yeah.
And
Is that Valentine's?
my girlfriend at the time was like, hey, we should go to dinner here for Valentine's Day. And I said, yeah, sure, we just need to be done dinner by 7 because I have this concert. Didn't go over very well. Didn't go over very well. In fact, I didn't even see her that day on Valentine's Day.
Oh no.
Old Brad Paisley was singing about love, and
Corey and Dustin versus hanging
Corey
out.
and Dustin. Or Brad Paisley.
That was a good show though.
It was so good.
They played Mario Kart on like it must have been like 1,000-inch TV, and they had this kid, the kid was just playing Mario Kart. Brad Paisley like.
It's awesome.
Anyway,
So
On that
good.
note, have a good
Yeah.
weekend.
All right, take care, YouTubes.